Okay, guys, so we have some devastating and honestly disturbing new developments on the illegal mass surveillance of American citizens that's going on in the United States. Um, this is one of those issues that everybody should be livid about and up in arms about because it literally affects everybody in the country. There's no justification for it. Um, and more importantly, like I said, it's illegal. So for people in my audience who might not understand this program or really anything about mass surveillance in the United States, I'll give you a quick rundown, quick summary of where we are. So back in later on after I because I have an article from the Intercept that I about the recent vote in the Senate to reauthorize the 702 FISA program for the NSA. So, and I'm going to get into the more into the how this started and the progression of it from back in 2001. So, like I said, it started in 2001 of the Bush administration. I believe it was after 9/11. So, 9/11 happened, the worst terrorist attack to happen on U.S. soil in history. Um, it was a disaster. From all accounts, all the information that we've learned since then, it was entirely preventable because the Bush administration was warned multiple times of a potential attack on the United States by Al Qaeda and Osama bin Laden, and they didn't take the necessary precautions to prevent the attack or to try to protect the United States. So after 9/11 happens, thousands of people are dead in New York City, country's in chaos, and the Bush administration is sitting there with their dick in their hand, and they have to find an enemy. They have to find a reason why this happened. They have to get answers to the American people. Or and I'm not 100% sure what the exact catalyst was to that started them that started the illegal mass surveillance, but it was either that, like I said, the none of them just happened, and they needed to get find somebody to point to or get some answers to American people, give because people were really want to know how could this happen in the United States. It's supposed to be the most protected country. This is supposed to be the safest place in the world. So how could a terrorist attack of this magnitude happen in the United States? So it was either that they had to find they were scrambling to try to find a excuse or rationalization for why 9/11 happened, or this was just something that they wanted to do, and they just used 9/11 as an excuse to do it. They finally had an opportunity because American people were scared. They wanted answers. They wanted somebody to protect them. They wanted to feel safe. So the Bush administration could have seen that and said, okay, so people are just looking for anything to feel safe. Okay, so we'll have this program. We'll keep it secret, and when we get caught, we'll just say, "Hey, we were just doing it to keep the country safe." Because look, everybody was so scared. Everybody wanted protection from the big bad people in Al Qaeda. They wanted us to stop all these terrorist attacks from ever happening again. So whatever the justification, if it was for whatever the catalyst was for them starting the program, that's in the past. It really isn't that important. So 2001, they started the program. They start the program. So what it is so the NSA, which is a branch of the intelligence apparatus, it's one of the intelligence agencies in the United States, along with the CIA and the FBI. But the NSA is one of the least known because they're extremely secretive and most people don't hear about them. So the NSA started to build up their surveillance capabilities, and they started to do research into these secretive programs and projects. And later on, we found out what they were doing was building up this whole intelligence or surveillance apparatus where they collect all the information of American citizens. And then they say it's because they want to be able to spot the terrorists and point out the terrorists and prevent another 9/11. Now that's what they say, but just minimal questioning of that, just you see that makes no sense because, okay, 9/11 happened. It was terrible. It was an unspeakable tragedy, but it happened once. So 9/11 happened once, and because it happened once, from 2001 till the end of time, the Bush administration thought it would be a good idea that they have the ability to just collect everybody's data, their phone calls, their emails, what else? Their internet history, So whoever it is in the national defense, or national intelligence, they have the idea that, hey, maybe we could prevent terrorist attacks if we collect all the information on American citizens. If we collect all the information on American citizens, and then we'd be able to spot the terrorists, be able to point them out, track their activities, and their meeting places, if they're planning anything. We'd be able to do all that with the information that we collect from American citizens. So if that was, so let's say that was the somebody's idea in working in national security or national defense in the Bush administration, and they came to and made that proposal at the White House. Okay, so the next logical step would be, so how do we do this legally? How do we do this legally? And apparently nobody in the Bush administration asked that question even once, because if that question was asked, then the Fourth Amendment would be brought up. The Fourth Amendment of the Constitution is a protection that the government can't illegally search or seize people's property without a warrant. They need to get a warrant if they suspect somebody of doing a crime and they wanted to investigate that person, if they wanted to collect information on that person and build a case. That's what the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, the supreme law of the United States. It's above any other law that Congress passes, the president passes, any governor passes, any state legislative house passes. The Constitution is above all of that. It's not a question. That's just what it is. So the Fourth Amendment protects us from illegal searches and seizures from the government. And like I said, nobody in the Bush administration said, "Hey, let's see how we can do this legally," because, like I said, the Fourth Amendment would be brought up, and I don't know how many lawyers would have been in the room. All of them who went to law school would be able to say right off the bat, "Hey, the Fourth Amendment is supposed to protect us against unnecessary searches and seizures." So, collecting information on 300 million Americans without a warrant, doing it in secret, storing that information, being able to look at it whenever we want, that's kind of wildly violating the Fourth Amendment. Any lawyer would have who was actually concerned about the Constitution and actually concerned about following the law, that would have been their first reaction. But it wasn't, because they didn't care about it, because the Bush administration was as lawless and just opposed to following any kind of law. That it was one of the most insane administrations that we've had in a very long time, because international law, the U.S. law, the Geneva Conventions, the Constitution, all of those laws that are meant to put restraint, that are meant to restrain and put what's the word I'm trying to find, to put some type of protection and put the government on a leash, I guess you can say, and to protect citizens from their powerful governments. They gave not a fuck. They didn't give a fuck about any laws, because to them it was, I want to do something and I'm going to do it. I'm going to find a way to do it, and if it's illegal, then so be it. And I don't want to go off too much in a rant on that, because I want to stay on the NSA surveillance. So it violates the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. It's insane. Collect information on 300 million Americans, and then, like I'm about to show you in this article from the Intercept, and some other information that we've learned from the time this program was incepted in 2001 after 9/11, all the way to now 2018, and it continued through the Obama administration, and that is one of the biggest problems I have with Barack Obama, and disagreements I have with him. I disagree with him on so much policy, I really do. But this NSA mass surveillance, the fact that he continued it and expanded it, is unexcusable. I don't want to hear anything about he was maybe trying to protect the country from terrorism. No, they weren't. And like I'm about to show you from the information in the article and some other information that I have from the almost 20 years this program's been active, that's not what they're doing. So here, the article from the Intercept, it reads, the title is, "It wasn't just Republicans. Democrats also voted to shut down debate on Trump administration surveillance powers." Okay. A critical mass of Senate Democrats voted with Republicans on Tuesday to shut down any further debate on a bill that strengthens the government's spying powers. The bill would renew a key surveillance authority of the National Security Agency until 2023 and consolidate the FBI's power to search Americans' digital communications without a warrant. The motion was passed 60 to 38, virtually guarantees that the final bill will pass likely later this week, and quashes any opportunity of debate whether protections should be added. 18 Democrats, including Senator Dianne Feinstein, of course, who had previously proposed an amendment to restrict the FBI surveillance authority, voted in support of the motion. They were joined by 41 Republicans and one independent, Angus King. Given the pro-surveillance bloc the supermajority needed to push the bill forward, Senators John McCain of Arizona and Dan Sullivan of Alabama did not vote. Senator Mark Warner, the top Democrat on the Intelligence Committee, lobbied for the bill's passage on the Senate floor alongside his Republican counterpart from North Carolina, Senator Richard Burr, the Republican leader and Republican leader Mitch McConnell. Director of National Intelligence Dan Coates stood outside the Senate chamber. What the fuck? He had come in person to convince any skeptics of the bill's merits, Burr said. Okay, hold on. What the fuck is that? The DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, is outside the Senate trying to persuade senators to vote on an illegal program to give him and the Trump administration even more powers to illegally spy on Americans. That is so fucking weird. That is just, I don't know. That shit just came at me weird when I read that. Anyway, let me continue. Just after 7 p.m. on Tuesday, Missouri Democrat Claire McCaskill cast a decisive vote in favor of the motion. 30 Democrats opposed it, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, along with 8 Republicans, led by Libertarian Rand Paul of Kentucky and Mike Lee of Utah. Tuesday's vote was a major blow to privacy activists who saw the sunset of NSA authority as a strategic opportunity for Congress to rein in NSA surveillance and restrict how the government can use the information it collects. Quote, the American people deserve to have an opportunity for some real amendments to make sure at the end of the day we have policies that keep our people safe and protect our liberties, said Oregon Democrat Ron Wyden. Quote, what we're debating is whether the Senate will be the Senate. Quote, end quote. The bill's passage, the bill, which passed in the House last week with backing from Democrat leadership, reauthorizes Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. The decade-old law allows the NSA to sweep up communications between Americans and foreign quote targets without a warrant. The result is that the NSA collects massive amounts of Americans' communications, including wholly domestic ones, under the pretext is targeting foreigners. Documents leaked by Edward Snowden in 2013 revealed that the law serves as the basis for 2 of the NSA's largest surveillance programs, PRISM, which collects communications from US-based internet companies, and Upstream, which scans the data passing through internet junctions as it enters and exits the US. Okay, so there's more. Today's vote left privacy activists questioning why Democrats would willingly hand such massive powers to the Trump presidency. The few Democrats who voted against allowing even the opportunity for amendments or open debate are giving President Trump dangerous and unchecked domestic surveillance powers, said Daniel Schuman, policy director of the digital rights groups Demand Progress. Quote, they'll now have to join the rest of Americans in looking over their shoulders at a government whose tremendous powers could be aimed at them, end quote. Okay, so that was a really great piece by the Intercept, and I encourage everybody to go to the website and read it for themselves. I didn't read all of the article. There's still a bit more, but I felt like I got to the important parts. So what the article was pointing out was you'd expect Republicans to go along with some shit like this. You would expect them to. One, because it was Republicans who proposed this ridiculous, who started this ridiculous program anyway under Bush. Even though they're the same ones who claim, oh yeah, we can't have all this big government. I don't want I don't want single payer healthcare. I don't want the government having all that access to my information. Are you fucking crazy? The government, we don't want this big tyrannical government having all my fucking health records. Are you crazy? No, I don't want single payer. Nobody in the country should have single payer. That's their argument for why we shouldn't have a single payer. But when it comes to the government literally collecting every fucking thing you do and recording it and having a file on you, that's fine with them. And in fact, they encourage it and they fucking want more of it. So again, this is just another example of how Republicans are just fucking hypocrites. and charlatans, and they just say anything and they're fucking liars. So Republicans will come out and say shit like that, but anybody who follows politics closely, they know that Republicans are deeply authoritarian and they love big government and they love a huge big brother type shit. They love the big, our gigantic military. We have 900 military bases around the world in over 100 different countries around the world. Republicans love that shit. We're in 8 different wars around the world. Republicans love that shit. So when it comes to the parts of government you should be most wary of and most skeptical of and most opposed to, Republicans love that shit. The most dangerous parts, they love that shit. So, okay, we expect that from Republicans. But then people have this idea that, okay, the Democrats are going to be opposite of them. They're going to be on the right side. No, they're not. And like I've mentioned in some of my other videos, sometimes Democrats are as bad, if not worse, than Republicans on certain issues. So, this is one of those issues where they're almost as bad as Republicans. Because look at the amount of Democrats that voted for this program. And they voted to shut down debate on this program. They didn't want any provisions added to it. You know, it didn't even have to be like, okay, we reauthorize this program or we don't reauthorize this program. Honestly, it shouldn't have been reauthorized. I don't even know how the fuck anybody's voting on the program. It's illegal. Any legal expert says it's illegal. It violates the 4th Amendment. So what the fuck are we doing here? We're our government is voting on doing illegal shit? I don't get it. And people don't really emphasize the legal part because the legal surveillance part, because they think it can't be that bad. It's the government, the intelligence agencies. They're at their headquarters. They're just scanning through some information that's passing through on the internet, and they want to be able to spot out the terrorists. But like I said, that's not what they're doing. And even if that was what they're doing, that's just fucking crazy. And because people can't grasp or wrap their minds around how important data is and how it really works, and since they can't see it, it's not really like something that could, like, it's not really something that they can touch, so it's a little bit more abstract to them. But just think about it like this. Imagine the year was like fucking 1960, 1970. And Congress passes a law, or whoever the president is passes a law that says, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to raid everybody's home in the United States. We're going to go through all their mail. We're going to go through all their phone books, their phone logs. We're going to go through their bank records. We're going to go through what TV shows they watch. We're going to find out what books they read. We're going to see who they talk to, who they meet with, where they're working, all that shit. We're going to go through their house, get all that shit, their photos. We're going to collect all that shit. And then we're just going to store it, and we'll have a file on you and everybody in the country, because we just took all their shit, and we're going to have a file on them. And then we'll if there's a terrorist attack or a potential terrorist attack, we'll just go through everybody's shit, and then we'll stop the terrorist attack. Everybody will be like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Even if that happened now, if the government was like, yes, we're going to raid your house and take all this shit out of your house, and it's to stop terrorist attacks, we're going to do that to everybody in the country. Everybody will be like, what the fuck are you talking about? How is that stopping terrorists? And it's the same way it's the same exact thing with the illegal mass surveillance, but since it's not them running up in your house and taking your shit right in front of you, people aren't really that concerned about it, but they should be. So yeah, that's I don't even know what the fuck I was talking about before. But the Democrats, they are on board with that shit. And it's so fucking ironic because some of the Democrats who voted for the shit in the House and in the Senate, they're the loudest ones talking about this Russia shit. Oh, Donald Trump has some type of backroom deal with Vladimir Putin and he's his bitch and he's been doing his bidding and he answers to Vladimir Putin and all this shit. Okay, and on top of that, I don't even necessarily agree with those arguments, but okay, that's a video for another day because I'm this Russia shit. That shit's getting old. But anyway, take that and put it aside. The Democrats and Republicans, they all call him unhinged. They say he's insane. They say he's incompetent. He's an idiot. He's not fit for the job. He's not fit to be president. Everybody he hires is a fucking idiot or a criminal. Republicans and Democrats, they both say this. So then when a fucking bill comes up where you could vote on or to either end mass surveillance, illegal mass surveillance, this insane power that we've given to the executive branch that's controlled by the president, they could have voted to end it or they could have voted to renew it. And what they did was they voted to fucking renew it and give Donald Trump that power. They gave the fucking the least qualified person to be president ever. The fucking unhinged buffoon, the reality star fucking clown, the imbecile, the tyrant, the impulsive buffoon, the fucking petty. What a cough in my fucking lung. That's how worked up I'm getting. The fucking thin-skinned megalomaniac who lashes out at people and is impulsive. They gave him the power to spy on 300 million Americans, and they didn't even fucking think twice about it. There wasn't an amendment to say, hey, you want information on Americans? Get a fucking warrant. You want a stop terrorist attack? You want information on a potential terrorist attack? Get a fucking warrant. They could have done that. They could have put that provision in there if they wanted to. But they didn't. They didn't. They could have. Which is the correct thing. They could have voted to not allow this program to exist at all. They should have voted to not have this program exist at all. Because like I've said and I've been saying repeatedly throughout this segment, it's fucking illegal. Point blank period. The program's illegal. So if this was a rational world, a sane world, no matter who the president was, if this shit came up for a vote, everybody would be like, what the fuck is going on? We're not voting on this. We're not going to fucking authorize this illegal surveillance of every American in the country. Are you fucking insane? No, we're not going to reauthorize it. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to fucking investigate whoever is doing this shit and whoever wants to do this shit and then expand this shit because that's illegal. And we claim to be a fucking country run by laws and shit. So we're gonna investigate whoever was doing that shit, and if we find they're doing something illegal, like fucking mass surveillance, then they're gonna be investigated, prosecuted, and put in prison. That would happen in the same world under any president. But the Democrats, with Donald Trump and all the fucking adjectives that they use to describe him that I just gave to you, they said, knowing all this shit, they said, yes, I'm going to give Donald Trump that power. Yes, I'm going to allow him to spy on everybody. Yes, even though he's openly talked about locking up his political opponents like some fucking third world dictator. This is some fucking banana republic. I'm going to give him that fucking power anyway. I'm going to give him the power to spy on anybody, myself included, any Democrat, any fucking Republican, any protesters. I'm going to give him the power to spy on them. Any activists, Black Lives Matter, environmental activists, yeah, I'm gonna give them the power to spy on them. And another thing that I didn't mention enough in this video, and honestly should do another segment about because it's that important. The DEA and the FBI, what they do is, so they have these people that they're targeting, right? Or that they want to investigate for something, but they don't have enough evidence. So what they would do is go to the NSA and be like, hey, do you have any information on this person? Of course they have the information. They'd be like, hey, can I get whatever you have on fucking, I don't know, Dick Van Dyke? I don't know I'm just making up a fucking name. Hey, give me all the information you have on this person, because I'm trying to make a case against them and I don't have any information and I don't have enough probable cause to get a warrant from a judge. So, can you give me anything that you collected illegally on this person? NSA says, yeah, sure. They've done it. The Intercept has another article on this, and honestly, I am going to do a segment about this eventually. So, this has been a whole thing across the country where they go and they do this shit and they try to make these cases. They've done it for drug cases. So for drug dealers and shit like that, they will go to the NSA and like, okay, so can you get this person's phone records? Have your fucking phone records all with a list of people you contacted, the text messages you sent. I don't know. I know the NSA has this. I know they collect all they wiretap all the phone calls in the US, and they have the phone calls stored and logged somewhere. But I don't know if the DEA has access to the actual physical like phone conversation. But they definitely have access to the text messages, contacts, the phone logs, the call logs from your phone. They have your emails, your search histories, all this shit, and then they take it and they build a case. But that's not how it fucking works. That's not how it works in the US. Or else you can do that for anybody. Be like, hey, fuck the Fourth Amendment. I just feel like this person should be in jail for something. I don't have enough proof to go to court and build an actual legal case. So I'm just gonna go through the fucking back door and get all this shit illegally and do it mad sneaky and whatever. So that is so fucking gross. And they've done it for drug deals. I can't remember the other cases specifically, but they've done it in several cases, and it just shows you what they actually want this program for, what they want this mass surveillance of Americans for. It's so they can keep track of everybody. It's so that if there ever comes a time that when this person is becoming a threat, they're speaking out against the government, whatever it is, or if we don't like this person, I want to be able to find information on this person to lock them up in prison and be done and just be done with them. That's my takeaway of what this program's for. And for anybody thinking, oh yeah, it's really to prevent terrorism, to stop terrorism. The intelligence agencies, I don't remember if it was their own internal review or if this was something that Congress asked for in their alleged attempts to do oversight. They asked these intelligence agencies, hey, how many terrorist attacks have you prevented? Because this shit has been going on since 2001. You guys say you're doing it to prevent terrorist attacks. There haven't, from what the public knows, from what's known publicly, there haven't been any major terrorist attacks or major attempts in the United States. So, what's this program doing? How is it working, and how effective is it? So, it was either the NSA's or the intelligence agency's own internal reviews, or the Congress asking them that. But their own documents, the intelligence agency's own documents that they produce from their internal investigations, they admit this is so damning and puts everything into perspective, because you really see what this shit is about. They admit that this shit hasn't stopped a single terrorist attack. They haven't arrested a single terrorist. They haven't stopped a single terrorist plot from this. I don't think they've even arrested a terrorist in the United States using this program. So I just gave you this whole shit and explain how this program works and their justification for it, how it came about. But and then you get this information that it hasn't stopped a single terrorist attack. So the Democrats who voted for this, they should be voted out of office immediately. Republicans who voted on this also voted out of office. This is a disgrace. Everybody should be up in arms about this, and hopefully enough people wake up, because this shit is getting very scary and looking like some dystopian future that you'd read in like some like Fahrenheit 51 or what the fuck was it name? I know how to read it in one of my English classes, or George Orwell, or any of those like sci-fi fictions where the government is watching you at all times and has dibs on you and is listening to all your phone conversations. That's basically what we're living in now, and it's kind of fucking weird and scary that nobody's talking.